I'm doing a very spontaneous type of show today. I'm going to do another one this afternoon where I'm going to interview Jordan, who did the song One Spark. I know I was supposed to do it a couple of weeks ago, but technical problems and I had to clear up some technical problems before I got down to this one. Now hopefully I'm not sideways because I took off the lock for the horizontal and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully this is filming at the right way. But if it isn't, let me know in the comments if that's the most important thing. So I listened to 3 interviews with Kanye West. The last one being Charlemagne God. Then I listened to his interview on Vibe. And I hear these 2 black people basically saying what I hear other black Democrats say: you cannot have your own mind. You can look different, but if you think different, that is not acceptable in the Democratic Party. When I heard this one gentleman talking about what he said at one of his, I guess this Utah event where he had church, and he said that he started talking about the Republican Party freed the slaves, not the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party was opposed to slavery. And Charlemagne God is as intelligent as he is. You know, maybe he's sucking on someone's body part because he has to say what the Democrats Party in order to get his check. The black woman who was in the Vibe interview, maybe she's sucking on something. She got her knee pads on. I'm sorry for being so explicit during prime time, but I have to think about these people and why they seem to be intelligent, but they seem to be locked into a organization that Democrats in 1826 started the KKK. They seem to be locked into the party that started Jim Crow laws. Yes, the Democrats. They seem to be locked into the Distocrats that Malcolm X was talking about in the 1960s. Look it up. They seem to be locked into that. They seem to be locked into that. And for the last 50 years, starting at 1965, when President Johnson put in this Welfare Act and saying the government will be your daddy. Men, black men, whatever men, you don't have to be responsible. You don't got a job. Go out there and continue to screw around, have children outside of wedlock, produce these illegitimate babies. Oh, and by the way, in the future, by the way, in 1973, we're going to pass a bill that you can genocide your black children. And it's going to come a time where there's 1 million children a year being aborted. And we're the Democrat Party. It's going to be the party that's going to say you can even abort a baby after it's born. As Governor Northam said, we'll deliver the baby, we'll bring the baby alive, resuscitate the baby, go to the mother and say, should we kill the baby or not? And in New York, they celebrated full-term babies being aborted. Now, for the black people that are so down with killing each other before they're born and killing each other after, you are sick MFers. You are sick MFers. And I said it. And if you want to be a part of a party that believes in genocide of your people, you just knock yourself out. But as for me, I'd rather be an independent and think for myself. And if I see this guy over here, whether he's a Republican, independent, or other, that has my best interest. We had a black president for 8 years. And this carnage was still going on in Chicago. And like Kanye West says, well, the guy started getting gray hair. Maybe there was things he couldn't do. But when he went to Kanye West and his mother, before they started running, and said, Kanye, could you support me? Could you do a concert for me? And then after Kanye West went up and said, hey, I think Beyonce should have gotten this award. And instead of Obama, instead of him joking around in front of the cameraman, he could have called up Kanye West and said, hey, bro, what's going on? But instead he said he's an ass. So you use people, as politicians will do, to get where you want to go. And then when you get there, you become an Obama. And you speak out about somebody who got in your corner. And I keep wondering, was Obama serving the white side of him? Or was he serving the black side of him? Because it seemed like he was more concerned with the LGBTQ family than the black family. And didn't matter what he looked like. Didn't matter that he was going to Reverend Wright Church, the most racist preacher I've ever heard. Because I would never go to a church that's either all black or all white and hear the spewing of hatred that came out of this Reverend Wright's mouth. And you can look them up on YouTube if they still got it up there. Because if you're right, you could say, if you're on the left-hand side, you could say any kind of stupid, racist thing you want to say. And there's no accountability. Because all the media, or at least 80% of the media, is on the left. And they're spewing fake news. They're spewing their lies. They're spewing their, shall I say, racism. So I listened to his album. I listened to Kanye West's album. And then I went back and I listened to the album in 2010, listened to the album in 2013. And at first I was going to say, well, before he switched over to Christian contemporary music, and the Jesus Walk, that was 15 years ago? And the words in that song says, if I say Jesus in my songs, they won't play it on the radio. Okay? And in this Charlemagne the God interview, he talked about after he did the thing with the young lady, Taylor Swift, the radio station started not playing his music on the radio. Right? And it's okay to be like an underground artist and making your money that way, but he, like a lot of artists, they say, okay, I get on this record label, I got on here, I signed this contract to have certain things happen. And those certain things are getting my music on rotation on many radio stations. And just because I said Beyonce album should have been awarded this award, radio is going to turn on me. Same thing with Disty Chicks. I think it was the Disty Chicks, yeah. When they said, oh, we're ashamed of President Bush. Now, they were playing music that mostly Republicans liked. So they felt the whiplash. And the lead singer, I mean, she wasn't a Republican. She was more liberal and everything like that. And so she didn't keep it a secret. And you got what you got. People stop buying their records. They stopped playing their music on the radio. And then they had to come out with the album Ready to Play Nice. All right. So Kanye West, he interrupted the acceptance speech of this young lady, Taylor Swift. President Obama opened up his ass and said what he said about Kanye West. Then there was just this unsaid, unseen backlash where radio stations somewhere in the back rooms of the boardrooms said, okay, we're going to slow the momentum of Kanye West's music down. We're not going to put it in rotation on the radio station. It is what it is. Eventually, the Disty Chicks got back on radio, but it wasn't the same. It hasn't been the same. I don't hear on the country station, and I listen to country music sometimes, but I don't hear, the Disty Chicks up there like they were. I don't hear them like doing a flashback and say, hey, this is, back in the day. Maybe there is no classic rock, classic country stations. And I don't have privy to all country stations, so there might be some out there that are still playing their music, and I just don't know about it because I listen to country music from time to time, and I like country music. And my first job was at a country western bar where I got my chops and learned how to perform in front of a live audience and learn how to work an audience. And Miss Carol gave me my first chance to learn my craft as a live DJ. But getting back to Kanye West's latest album. So as I listened to his album, I'm not a choir person. I mean, when I hear choir, I mean that takes me back to the old days of the 60s, 50s, 40s, and I'm just not a choir. I know people singing together like in that way is very popular in some parts of the black community, but I've just never been a choir loving, let me listen to this choir type of person. And that's just my personal taste. I'm more of a Jimi Hendrix, loud guitar, Electra, the artist Electra. I'm trying to think of is there any other artists. Toby Mac, kind of. There's some other artists out there I just don't remember the name because it's far and few between. Christian contemporary hip hop artists that are unique enough to keep it in my mind. So I listened to his album and I went back. I said, well, let me see what he did before, because I sort of like, I've heard about Kanye West, and I really never really delved into his music. I understand that, okay, just like NWA, they were selling the music to the black kids out of the trunk of their cars, and then when they went on tour, they looked out in the audience and said, who are these white kids? And they didn't realize that their music had crossed over, and white kids wanted to get a mirror, not a mirror, they wanted to get a telescope into what was happening in black culture, what was happening in black lives. Their parents told them this. They wanted to see what their parents said. Was it true? I remember, I'm going to put in my life as well. I remember when I was on this teenage line in the 70s, and I would talk to white girls about the lies that their parents would tell them about black people. And I know that I wasn't those things that their white parents were telling them, but their parents wanted to put a fear in them, saying, don't talk to these people because we think that these people are evil. Has nothing to do with who they are as individuals. Just as parents, we know that our friends will reject us if they see you, our daughters, with these black people. So I knew what the situation was, and as I listened to these white girls saying, oh, we thought you were white because you didn't talk like a black person. My friend is crying because she can't have you as a friend because you're a black person. And I'm listening to this idiocy. I'm listening to idiocy being passed down from their parents to them. So we spin forward, right? And you got NWA looking out into the audience and say, wait a minute, who's all these white kids listening to music? I mean, when we were in Compton, black kids, it was black and Hispanic kids. Who are all these people? And not realizing that music transcend Compton. And then taking it to the next level, Kanye West started out probably in the black community, whatever, but then his music transcended. And then he started adding other elements to his music, guitars, certain types of beats. And I seen how much the production quality, as far as like the slowing down of the voices, I mean, the people that were working in the engineering booths really was massaging the ears of the listeners. Doing stuff that, we have a group called Dreamland. Dreamland Music, spelled M-U-Z-I-K. And they did the song Don't F With Dreamland. And they did some fantastic stuff. I don't know if I ever told them personally, but that first album they did, slowing down their voices, reversing the music, and I said, genius, keep this up. And when they did their little skits, genius. Yeah, maybe I should have encouraged them more, but it's like I wanted them to do more with the music, but like I said, it was their art, it was their music, and you can take a horse to the water, but you can't make a horse drink. So I said, okay, give them the freedom to do their art. And maybe someday they will and someday they won't. And I talked to Michi about, I needed a radio edited version of your music. And he's gone the direction. He was raised by Christian grandparents, but he just couldn't go there. And he got himself into trouble and went to jail and did a bunch of stupid things. And I know Deuce was trying to talk to him about some of the stupid things he was doing, but he wasn't ready to receive it. And I saw him in the bathroom throwing up, drinking too much. And Deuce was kind of say, hey, look, we're trying to go a direction here. And you gotta, it's all right to have a good time, but you're overdoing it. But whatever Deuce was talking to him about, but Deuce seemed to be the leader of that group. Dre, he was an interesting character. I mean, he was a party animal. He just, that's another thing. I mean, that was another part of my life that was kind of interesting, where I sequestered, just like the people sequestered Earth, Wind, and Fire on the farm and got their first album out. I sequestered Dreamland and got many of their albums out, and they're going to another level. And so, it is what it is. But getting back to Kanye West, and I know I guess this is a Gemini talk. Charlemagne the God, Gemini. The lady who was doing the interview on Vive, Gemini. I'm a Gemini. Kanye West, Gemini. So this is Prince. We got into that, Gemini. So this is a Gemini vibe going on here. Whether you believe in astrology or not, I don't need any comments from the peanut gallery. You understand me? I don't need any comments from the peanut gallery. I don't need any comments from the peanut gallery. Okay, I don't need. Okay. So I see where he's going. He has the attention of this mixed audience. He's hobnobbing with billionaires, millionaires. He's trying to say, instead of me being just the artist and then the record company saying, we'll give you your manager, we'll decide what we want to do with your brand. He's saying, no, I'm the artist. I should have more control with my brand. I should have more control with the direction that I'm going. Because this creation is coming out of me. You're giving me a vehicle to put it out there. You're giving me a vehicle to build upon my brand, but the ideas are coming from within me and from these artists. And instead of you taking our work and saying, packaging it, redistributing it, and then my family never having a legacy to go build upon that, I'm going to be the game changer. And then looking at these, I mean, I'm like I said, I looked at an interview yesterday. I usually don't like to look at long interviews. This was like an hour and 45 minutes last night. Hour, 45 minutes with Charlemagne the God. Well, he did this interview, I guess 2018. They started talking about it in February. They got it together. And it was before he started wearing the mega hat and all that kind of stuff. And Charlemagne talking about, you hurt black people. Hurt black people in what? Wearing a stupid hat? Hurt black. When Kanye West was at the Utah event and said, 1 in every 3 black men are in jail, and you're worried about a hat? What caused this imprisonment? Okay, we know Bill Clinton in 1994 put in the three shots and you're out type of thing. The war on crime bill that he put through, and even President Clinton, you can go back and Google some videos of him. He looked back on that and he said, hey, in retrospect, that was bad. Why didn't our first black president look back and say, well, what President Clinton did in 1994, that was bad for the black community, because we put people in jail for 20 years because they had a 5-dime bag of marijuana. We put people in jail for 30 years for a 5-dime bag of marijuana. Why didn't our first black president, instead of him being so down with the LGBTQ community, how come he didn't look at the black community, which he was half of? That's my problem with President Obama. Why does a Donald Trump, a billionaire, have to be the first one to start talking about changing some of these things that are going on and letting some of these people out? Charlemagne the God, why did you talk about that? Instead of talking about you hurt black people because you supported Donald Trump. Charlemagne God, you sound like an idiot. And I hope this does get back to the Breakfast Club. Because Eazy-E and the lady who's there, you guys sound like you're all on your knees pumping the Democrats for whatever reason. And you know, maybe, okay, I don't know the behind the scenes. I've never been in your Breakfast Club studio. I don't look around to see the management, the people who are cutting your check. Maybe you say, okay, we got to keep this train going until we get our set amount where we can have FU money, like Dave Chappelle says. Because now Dave Chappelle has that FU money, where he can say whatever he wants to say, whether you agree with it or not, because he got his financial base. Maybe you guys, maybe you DJs, since your paycheck is dependent on this company that's pushing your product out, you have to pretend that this is hurting black people. You have to pretend that you're falling lockstep and barrel with the Democrats, even though you see after the last 50 years, it went from 75% black household, black parents, father and wives running a household, and now it's reversed to females, 75% females, because the government is now the daddy. How come you don't talk about that, Charlemagne, and how that happened? It didn't happen under the Republican watch, it happened under the Democrat. And year after year, I was even under that fog. I voted for Obama because I thought when he said, I'm going to fundamentally change the United States of America, what I didn't ask was, what does that mean? I just assumed that it meant that when he said, this is the United States of America, that it would mean something about unifying. I just assumed that since he was the chosen one for the first black president, that it meant something other than the ideological socialism of the Democratic Party, the genocidal killing of our black children from the Democratic Party. I thought it meant something different than that. But Obama showed us that he had to play the game. He had to look perfect. And I would sit around in these meetings and people would be looking like they would have these stars in their eyes talking about Obama, like he's like some angel floating on the air. And I'm thinking like, who is this Obama? I know he's a black guy, but why do all these white people, black people have these stars in their eyes? When Jesse Jackson, the real black person, ran for president back in the late 70s, 80s, that was too dangerous because he said some things, and Jackson, Reverend Jackson, he has some problems, some issues. I know that when Martin Luther King was shot, He wasn't standing by Martin Luther King. He ran upstairs and he saw the opportunity. He took the blood, wiped it on his shirt, and he went in front of the cameras and it was a word they used back in the day. And I forgot the word. It's sanctified. I mean, he just was posing, and he said something, because he said, okay, you got Martin Luther King. Now, the ones who left, I got to position myself to be a leader. And that lying Al Sharpton with the Tawana Brawley, there's enough racism going on without someone like Al Sharpton lying about it in 1987. There's enough racism going on without him lying about racism. I don't know. I say, go ahead, listen to the album, buy it. I see one song, Sunday we're closed, or closed on Sunday, where he talks about what's that chicken, Chick-fil-A. He uses Chick-fil-A in there, and I thought that was a very interesting song. I think it's going to be the second album that's going to be a blowout one. This was the first one, and he'll stick if he does a second one, because I know Snoop Dogg, he did a Christian Canara. He was now Snoop line, then he went down just gospel Snoop, and then he just went off to something else, you know. So we'll see, you know, where Kanye West goes from here. Okay, and let me give a shout out to people that are here. Jeremy Hensley, thank you for watching. Betty Jean Marvey Neffley watching, thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. Angel Barriento. Greg Walter, thank you for watching. David Gito, thank you. Mark Quick. Jeremy Titman. Dale Martinez. Ron Bushfield. All right. So I think I'm going to close this out. I'm going to pass this over. We have a show on channel 56, Denver Comcast, which you'll be seeing this on that show. Also, we do our Tuesday night talk show on KUVO 92.9 on the FM dial. If you would like to be a studio audience, email me at info@intervisionfm.com. info@intervisionfm.com. We can hold about 40 people, so we're looking to build up our studio audience. We start taping or going on live about 5:30, so you have to get there about 5:15 so we can set up the chairs and so forth. This Tuesday it's going to be past Tuesday. Next week we're going to be talking to a gentleman from the Colorado School of Rock School. And if you're a business and you want to underwrite one of our shows or sponsor our radio shows, we do the top 20 countdown on Fridays on KUVO, 6 p.m., 92.9 on the FM dial. And we do it Sunday morning, part 2 of that show at 9 a.m. on 92.9 on the FM dial. You can also go to our website, innervisionrecords.org. That's innervisionrecords.org. And you can become a member. You can, if you're an artist, you want to be taught the business of music, we can also facilitate in that. There's a lot of ways you can become a part of our non-profit. We thank you for supporting us in the ways you have, but we need also volunteers, accountants, people to be on our board, grant writers, grant submitters, and we need businesses to support our brand as we will support your brand if you don't think this is too radical. Right? So as the only blind person in Colorado that has a TV show, as far as I know, if there's another one of you out there, let me know so we can join the club together. For Innovation FM, this is Johnny J. See you tonight with our interview with Jordan, who has put out a song, One Spark.